It isn't surprising that fruit goes bad as quickly as it does. I mean, sure, there's some acidity here and there to preserve, but mostly we're talking about sugar and a lot of water, which provide microbial beasties a perfect breeding and feeding ground. Plums, 80% water, peaches, 89, figs, 78%, strawberries, 90, apples, 84, bananas, 76, and the eponymous watermelon, 92% water. Now, with proper drying, we can reduce that moisture to 10, maybe 20%, while inversely increasing the sugar to the point where it actually becomes a threat to microbes through increased osmotic pressure. But getting this down to this is not simply a matter of aqua absentia. Don't believe me? Ask a mummy. When it comes to dehydrating, no one has ever beat the mummy makers of ancient Egypt. They knew that the real key to keeping a newly deceased pharaoh or pharaohette rot-free wasn't exposure to the arid climate, but rather proper prep. Now, obviously, we don't need a series of clay jars for the liver, lungs, intestines, and stomach because fruits, thankfully, do not possess these organs, nor do we require the use of this device because fruits don't have brains or noses to pull them out of. And that means that we don't need piles of sawdust or tree resin or hay to put in the head cavity because before wrapping in 1,000 yards of linen, royal remains would be soaked in a form of sodium carbonate related to lye called natron for 40 days. This pulled moisture out of the customer and changed the pH so that the body would be unappealing to bacteria. Although modern commercial fruit embalmers don't usually employ natron, they do use an equally ancient and mystical substance: sulfur. Anyone who's purchased commercially dried fruit in the U.S., or red wine for that matter, has witnessed firsthand the power of this element, which is one of the most popular food additives in the world for this simple fact. It can slow down bacteria, molds, and yeasts by tricking them into mistaking it for vitamin D, which they pig out on and then die. Sulfur can also slow the rancidity of fats by halting oxidation, the rather violent process by which certain less stable molecules steal electrons from other molecules. Oh, and it also can shut down the enzymatic engine that makes cut fruits turn brown. Clean up on aisle 6. Yeah. Taking the preservative power of sulfur into your own hands is a simple, albeit stinky, proposition. The internet is full of websites giving instructions for this sort of thing. Most of them call for stacking up cooling racks or oven racks lined with the fruit, outside of course. Then you place some kind of heat-proof vessel underneath. You add a little pharmaceutical or food-grade sulfur. You light the sulfur. It burns pretty easily. And then you just slap a cardboard box on top of it. It's a fumigation rig or smoking rig. Of course, you could also just dip the fruit in any number of sulfur-based solutions, and that is what is done to most commercially dried fruit. The problem is that a lot of folks, especially asthmatics, are prone to sulfur and sulfite allergies, which can be sudden and severe. So that leaves us with a question. What might we have in the pantry that bacteria don't like, that contains antioxidants, and that can interrupt enzymatic action?
Ascorbic acid, or vitamin C, would certainly do the job, but it is extremely bitter even in small doses. The acidic acid in vinegar would do in a pinch, but its distinctive pungency would be as overwhelming as the vitamin C. Citric acid is almost as powerful an antioxidant as the ascorbic variety, and it is available in powdered forms in many megamarts. Of course, citric acid may already be in your kitchen in sufficient amounts. To compose your very own batch of antibacterial, anti-aging dried fruit dip, squeeze enough lemons to get a cup of fresh squeezed juice, and don't worry about taking out the seeds and the pulp and all that. And then dilute it into 1 quart of water. Peel and cube your mangoes and then cover. Ditto the apples. There we go. Of course, it's kind of tough to peel the strawberry, what with all those seeds on it, so we'll just leave them be. Now, this soak should be brief, no more than 2 minutes. Matter of fact, 30 seconds would be.
Make a little batch of your very own. Here, hold this bag thusly. I think I got everything we need right here someplace. First, we've got the fruit. We've got 7 ounces by weight. It's about 3 cups of home-dried fruit. I'm using apples, mangoes, and strawberries, but that's just me. Here, next up,
some mixed nuts, about a cup. I'd say that's 5 ounces or so. And, a cup, 3.5 ounces of granola. There you go. Just seal it up, mix it up, and enjoy. That stuff's not just good, it's good for you.
Oh, yeah?
How good?
Well, since their nutrients are concentrated, each handful of dried fruit delivers a basket full of nutrients, minerals, and plenty of vitamins, not to mention phytochemicals such as chlorogenic and neochlorogenic acids, which help slow the progression of heart disease.
And don't forget about the fiber, which helps to keep things moving, you know?
Speaking of moving, we should get moving. We don't want him to catch up.
Oh, yeah, probably so. Listen, bye.
Hey, what about your trail mix?
Keep it. You're gonna need it.